So there's a couple things you have to take into consideration when buying your Gasos Tefillin. First one is, these Gasos, are they what's called Prudos Legamri, or are they Rov Prudos? Rov Prudos means they're mostly separate. Now I want to show you here, when we're talking about the Prudos, we're talking about, this is the Shoresh. These compartments on the Shoresh, are they separate, or are they able to be separated and pulled apart with a little bit of effort? You know, on a tefillin, you'll be able to go like that and see that there's no glue in between the compartments, or are they glued? Now, if you look at the Mishnah Berurah, it writes that the tefillin from the Vilna Gaon did not have any glue in between the compartments of the Shoresh. Now, remember I talked about, when we talked about the Pshutos, we said that if there's glue, we said that they use glue in order to form the tefillin. So when you realize that, you have to understand that these four compartments over here for the Shoresh have to be each one its own separate compartment. So let's say Pshutos. In Pshutos, where we are relying on the kula, so to speak, the leniency, that glue makes it now like it's one piece of skin. That's what actually forms the actual boxes themselves. So in Pshutos, it's very important that you do not have glue go all the way up to the top of the bottom. As you can see here, you can see where the glue actually was. It went up to not quite halfway. You can see how it was mostly open. Now, the reason why in these tefillin you have to be very careful to do that is because if these tefillin, the way the box is made, if they had glue go all the way up to the edges and the top and the sides of this tefillin, these four compartments would no longer be considered four compartments. It would be like one compartment with dividers inside, because you can't have your cake and eat it. So if we're relying on glue to make this like these are now considered one box, each one its own box, then on that token, if you glue them together, they lose their status now of one box, right? So in Pshutos, it's very, very important not to have glue go all the way up. Now in Gasos as well, like I was mentioning earlier, in Gasos as well, it wouldn't be puzzle if there was glue which goes all the way up to the top of the bottom, because when we're making Gasos, we are not relying on the leniency of glue to make it like it's ar echad. So you can't say, hey, you can't, over here you consider the glue to make it ar echad, but in between the compartments we're not considering it like it's ar echad. You can't do that. Either the glue makes it like it's one, or the glue doesn't make it like it's one. But in Gasos, we're not relying on that leniency. So in Gasos, if you were to put glue in between the compartments, you could just as easily say, well, glue does nothing, right? Glue is just holding it together. Now, although it would be considered kosher even if it had glue going all the way up, we don't do that. Mishnah Berurah writes, preferably there should not be any glue in between the compartments. But still, with that being said, there are many companies who would put, sort of like what you saw over here, a little bit of glue along the base of the tefillin, not quite halfway. They'll put the glue going partially, part of the way, and then these bottom, let's say, would be called Rov Prudos, mostly separate. And they'll do that because a lot of the cheaper companies will do that. It holds the tefillin together better, and that's one of the things that they'll do. So that's called Rov Prudos. Now, I only sell batim which are Prudos Legamri, which means that they're completely separate. So, as you can see in this video, these batim which I have right here for you, I'm going to show you how I can slightly. Can you see it? Can you see that? If these were Rov Prudos, you wouldn't really be able to budget at all. It would be really stuck together. Now, sometimes you have, like, after the tefillin are painted, the paint will stick the bottom together. My understanding is, I spoke it over with the Rav, that the paint is not really considered like a glue. And although, yeah, it would be better to actually pull it apart and pop the paint, it's not something which you have to do, because he said the paint's not considered glue. You might find a Rav that disagrees. This is the Rav that I consulted with, and that's what he holds, that's what he says. Okay, so that's this deal with the Gasos. You have Rov Prudos and Prudos Legamri. So again, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe. If you like this video, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you on my next video. Another video coming out real soon, and stay tuned.